Hello, Admiral.
Hello, Randy. Good to be here with you.
I am furious, I got to tell you. First of all, since you went to Harvard and, you've got a PhD in government, and you are a three-star admiral and now a sitting Congress member, and you also worked in counterterrorism, shall we review for the idiot right what it is that the Constitution provides for when we accuse anybody, be they an American citizen or an alien or an anybody at all, of a crime? Do we try? Let's say, Joe, I'm an English person, and I come here and I murder an American. Do I go on trial in America with all the protections of the Constitution, or not?
Well, here's what I don't understand. How can anyone think that throwing people in a legal black hole is a sign of a strong nation? If someone is here, they are here where it's a nation of laws, not of men, and they will be held accountable under that nation of laws. The last thing we can afford to do is to allow terrorists to cause us to abandon our American principles. As was spoken, I actually went to war. I was on the ground early in that conflict in Afghanistan for a short period before I commanded to carry a battle group due to the retaliatory strikes, because I wanted to bring these perpetrators of the outrage that they did in New York City and at the Pentagon, where I was assigned when it occurred, to justice. That was my role as head of the Navy's anti-terrorism unit. How could we not send a stronger signal to the world of American resolve than bringing these people to justice in New York City, to see how we're rebuilding, to watch from the shores there, 7,000 miles away, we're in a conflict for several years, hunting them down, and finally to bring them into the ideal that I most fought to defend: justice, rule of law, not of men. That, more than anything, is what we have to fight to preserve, and not just do it as a luxury in gentler times, but at times of adversity, and that's what I strongly believe.
Yeah, and I'm right there, too. And I don't understand why the Republican senators, especially Cornyn of Texas, a guy who's, almost, urging his people to secede from the Union, said that, bringing these dangerous individuals onto U.S. soil needlessly compromises the safety of all Americans. As a commander of the George Washington Aircraft Carrier Battle Group, as a counterterrorism commander, the first director of the Navy's counterterrorism unit, what are they so afraid of? Don't they have any faith in our military? Don't they have any faith in our ability to hold people in supermax prisons? Don't they even understand that these people were not picked up by the military in Afghanistan? They were captured in Pakistan by intelligence and law enforcement and guys like you who do counterterrorism work.
Absolutely. These are, my gosh, we have never had an individual escape from a supermax prison. And our federal penitentiaries, rock solid. Look, bring them to court. Throw the keys away after they've been brought to due justice, and due justice they must have, because these men actually did ill to this nation, and bringing them forward in a court of law and doing it right and then throwing the key away is exactly what this nation was founded upon. Not throwing the key away before the rule of law has shown the world that ideal we stand for and why people come here to live, including my father, an immigrant. I believe very strongly we can't let that be bent. I can remember being on the ground there in Afghanistan early on. I saw some of these detainees brought in. I can remember one of them. We got him for $2,000 bounty head. He was banging his head against the fence after he was brought in. I asked somebody, what's with him? He said, we paid $2,000. He was just kind of like some mental case, and the tribal chief gave him to us. Then having them thrown in a dark hole outside the rule of law, that's not us. And look, don't get me wrong. I believe in the strongest U.S. military we can have, and I believe hunting them down to the end of the day and keeping after them and after them. But I do that because of a common creed in the military we have. Yes, we're in it for one another. Yes, we're in it for our nation. But we're in it for the rule of law, justice, that everyone will be accorded the right of day. And evidence we have against them, or they would not be coming to court, as the Attorney General said.
Now, and here's just a perception issue. would people prefer that we treat these people like evil geniuses who actually could destroy our way of life? Or would they prefer that we show that our justice system is one of the fairest, most mighty, swords against evildoers and people who commit mass murder or terrorism or any grotesque act against an American citizen? I mean, what is with them? Why are they so terrified that if they step foot on our soil and they meet the bar of justice, or we actually observe our Constitution and we apply due process to anybody we accuse, whether they be an alien, a terrorist, a Pakistani, a Yemeni, a Kuwaiti, whoever, what do they think? Why would we make them into supervillains, as one of my callers said?
Well, I think it's one of the issues that de Tocqueville said about America when he visited us. He said every issue in America seems to eventually become a political issue. And that's unfortunate, particularly when it has to do with national security. But the one thing, the saving grace of America's Constitution, is that at the end of the day, whether it's the executive branch or the legislative branch, or whether it's outside commentators, at the end of the day, it's a judiciary system, impartial, supposedly non-political, that is supposed to be the arbiter of that rule of law that our forefathers established. And so to make this a political back and forth, or to make assertions because someone believes what they believe in, doesn't matter at the end of the day. That rule of law, where the Supreme Court said that anyone in Gitmo is to be accorded the procedures that civilized nations will recognize as a proper, is exactly what this nation stands for. Those men did wrong, and the evidence has to be there for the Attorney General to bring him forward, and he says he has it. Let's get to it, bring him to justice, and throw the keys away then.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, the idea that Gitmo has been like a big beacon of hypocrisy for us, while we waived the Constitution, while we, did away with the Fourth Amendment, while we did away with the Fifth Amendment, while we did away with due process and all the and privacy rights. Didn't they win a modicum of success by terrorizing, people to the point where they refused to accept that, we could try people, Gitmo, for God's sake, isn't that the best recruiting tool we ever created?
Well, I've always thought of myself as just practical. It seemed to have landed me in the middle of the progressive wing of the Democratic Party but what I believe about practical of what you just said is any jail, any prison that's creating more tourists outside its walls than you can hold inside its walls, practicality says close it.
Yeah.
And let's move forward. And that's why I believe that the administration is correct. It is a place where now we do have the proper rule of law there. And practically, I guess you could keep it open if you just looked at that matter. But when you practically see it's creating more terrorists outside than you can hold inside, close it. Let's get these prisoners taken to justice, and let's move on and eradicate the scourge of terrorism by going about it, understanding that our military doesn't fix problems. They stop problems. And the other elements of our power that this administration is trying to bring about through diplomacy, economic power, financial power, then we can stop over the years the beds that give rise to terrorism. And that's what we have to be about, and not get caught up in this political issue of whether we can keep them or not keep them within a supermax. Of course we can.
Yeah, it's just, I understand that the people I'm talking to today have been propagandized and terrorized. I just don't want anybody who's trying to terrorize our people to win. I'm very proud of our justice system. I want to see this trial. I want the world to see this trial. I want the world to see that America has changed and that we are a nation of laws and that we don't hold people in legal black holes. We don't hold them for years and then, 550 of them just, okay, you can go now. I mean, what was that? That was a recruiting tool like the likes of which I had never experienced. And, as somebody who, I was just an enlisted person, so I'd be a ground pounder, to have to face, somebody who's been radicalized by that fact when I didn't have to would really peeve me. So,
my other point is torture. Look, every study seems to have shown that torture does not get you the results that we got by other means in World War II, that we got in other means in the Korea War, Vietnam War. Of course, people are going to say certain things when they're under torture. And so my take on this is that, as was played there, this is a nation that doesn't need torture in order to bring about its security. And by security, I mean not only hunting until the end of the earth those that do damage to us, but also by holding up the ideals that others believe that they want to be like us. We set an example. And is it important? Yeah. Of 80-some countries I've been to in my naval time of service over 3 decades plus, they respected us for the power of our military, for the power of our economy, but they admired us for the power of our ideals. Exactly. It is our greatest strength. Never
I agree.
In times of adversity.
You're so right. I mean, we have to show our system works to the whole world, and that we are a nation of laws, and not a nation of fear, and not a nation of people who are just terrified by terrorists. It's ridiculous. Then they win. What's your favorite thing? What should I call you? Congressman, Admiral? I mean, Commander.
Joe.
I knew it.
Joe.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you so
Andy,
much.
Thank you on this issue. Look, it's what you and I defended, and I can't speak highly enough of don't bend it in a way that people falsely think we need to. I headed the Navy's anti-terrorism. I saw intelligence help to shape what we need to do strategically, operationally. I worked for President Clinton in the White House. Saw the intelligence come in and out. We don't need to do that to be the strongest nation in the world. So thanks, Randy, for having me today.
You're a hero. Thank you, Congressman. Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Joe Sestak he's now a congressman from Pennsylvania's 7th Congressional District, but he is a 3-star admiral. He is a counterterrorism. He headed Deep Blue, the Navy's anti-terrorism unit. He developed the strategies that helped us capture these people in the global war on terror. He was the commander of the George Washington Aircraft Carrier Battle Group, 30 U.S. and Allied ships, 15,000 sailors, 100 aircraft on Joe's watch, combat operations in Afghanistan, the precursors to the operations in Iraq. You're telling me, Rush, you got a record that compares to him, so that gives you the right to call him names? Oh, God, it just, I was sick. I was in the car coming to work, and I heard him say this about Admiral Sestak. And I'm sitting in the car thinking, oh, my God, if I'm hearing this, Admiral Sestak's hearing this, too. That's the damage that they do.